In this video, we'll be exploring 5 tragic and haunting clips, each accompanied by equally disturbing backstories that are likely to keep you awake tonight. So from a chilling prelude to death to a murderer pretending to care about his victims, these stories are sure to leave a lasting impression. Hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy. Krystyna and Andrew Reraks. On February 17, 2021, at around 5:30 a.m, emergency service were called to the home of Krystyna and Andrew Reraks in Georgetown, Ontario, Canada. When they arrived, the house was ablaze following an explosion that rocked the normally quiet area. Neighbours who witnessed the blaze reported that it started in the garage and quickly spread, consuming the entire home. By the time the firefighters managed to extinguish the flames, it was too late to save the occupants, and after searching through the house, they found the charred bodies of 2 individuals. Although they were initially unrecognisable, it was later confirmed that the victims were the Reraks, a well-liked and respected couple who had lived in the quiet neighbourhood for many years. The community was in shock when it was revealed that an explosion had occurred in the garage, which subsequently ripped through the rest of the house. Residents were further unsettled after police investigations determined that the fire was not an accident. Authorities appealed for anyone with security camera or dashcam footage from the area on the day of the fire to come forward. The appeal led police to a security camera located at a home across from the Reraks residence, which revealed how the fire was actually started. At 6:24 p.m. on the night before the blaze, the Reraks pulled into their garage and parked their car. Just as they were about to lower the garage door, an unknown figure sneaked in just before it closed. The unsettling footage led investigators to a Mississauga man named Harrison Brown, who had business dealings with one or both of the Reraks. However, the exact nature of these dealings has never been clearly established. An investigation determined that the fire was set deliberately, and on March 26, 2021, homicide investigators arrested Brown and charged him with 2 counts of first-degree murder and arson. Given the video evidence, it was difficult for Brown to deny that he had set fire to the house, and the 29-year-old pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice in Milton, and received a life sentence in prison with no possibility of parole for 25 years. The motive is not 100% clear, but is believed to stem from a business deal that Brown felt so aggrieved about that he targeted the couple and killed them in an exceptionally brutal manner. Yeti Airlines Flight 691. On the 15th of January 2023, passengers on Yeti Airlines Flight 691 were preparing to land at Pokhara International Airport after a short flight from Kathmandu's Tribhuvan International Airport. On board the ATR-72 twin-engine propeller aircraft were 68 passengers and 4 crew members. One of the passengers on board, Sonu Jaiswal, was live streaming the descent as the plane banked and prepared to land. Sadly, the passengers had no idea they were about to die. As the pilots were preparing for landing at an altitude of less than 721 feet, one of them requested an adjustment to the wing flaps. However, the second pilot mistakenly adjusted the condition levers, the controls for the propellers located next to the flap lever, to a setting known as feathered. Feathering a propeller reduces drag and is typically performed when an engine is shut down. As a result of his error, the propellers allow air to flow through them rather than pushing it backwards, which is necessary to propel the plane and maintain altitude. The catastrophic error meant that the engine lost power and was unable to land safely. Here is the translated CVR recording from the panicked pilots seconds before it crashed.
Okay, stand by, go over.
Flaps, beaver 150.
Okay, flaps 30.
Flaps 30, चढ्दै जाऊ है.
Okay.
चढ्दै जाऊ, तल पनि जाऊ. अनि okay, people landing here.
Down 3 feet.
Flaps
30.
Fire.
Take off.
TLU.
Low speed.
ICA.
Checked.
External lights.
On.
Complete.
Yeah.
Hello?
Elect water ride.
5. Check.
Altitude to ride.
Continue to turn. अब यो नयाँ एयरपोर्ट पछि अलि तलै
जानु पर्यो
होइन तल होइन यो त यतिकै ठिक छ पार हाल है
691
पारै आएन
wind
बाहर आएगा
is 4 knots, runway 12. बाहर गाडी हाल्नु पर्यो.
आएन सर ए तर्कै आएन के सर
ओके यता जाउँ न.
ओके यो ल्यान्डिङ है सर
ह?
तर्कै आएन के सर यहाँ आउनु पर्यो नि त 0 0 छ के सर ओके
के भयो?
Shortly after the plane lost thrust, it stalled and crashed into the ground, where it was destroyed by the impact and subsequent fire, killing everyone on board. Take a look at this terrifying recording made from an onlooker on the ground. In the aftermath of the crash, rescuers desperately searched for survivors, but there were none. Among the passengers were 37 men, 25 women and 6 children, 3 of whom were infants. A total of 71 bodies were recovered, most of which were severely burned and unrecognizable to their families. An investigation into the tragedy revealed that Pokhara Airport was only a few weeks old at the time of the crash. The crew had not received skill-based training for landing at that airport, and it was the pilot's first attempt at landing on that runway. It's believed that the pilots became so focused on executing the landing correctly that they misidentified the levers and failed to notice the indicators showing that the propellers had been feathered. The flight was commanded by Senior Captain Kamal KC, with Anju Katawada serving as the co-pilot. In a shocking twist, it was reported that Anju's husband had also died in a plane crash in 2006. The crash was Nepal's worst aviation disaster since the 1992 Pakistan International Airlines Flight 268 crash, and the deadliest involving the ATR-72 aircraft. Yuri Lipski. The Blue Hole, located 8 kilometers north of Dahab, Egypt, is a renowned diving spot known for its deep sinkhole that reaches a depth of approximately 130 meters. It has a shallow entrance, referred to as the Saddle, which is about 6 meters deep. Additionally, there is a tunnel called the Arch, measuring 26 meters in length, which descends to around 120 meters towards the sea. The area is rich in coral and reef fish, making it an excellent location for freediving, especially due to its easy shore access and minimal currents. However, despite its stunning beauty and convenient access, it conceals notorious dangers and is known for having one of the highest diver fatality rates in the world, with estimates of 130 to 200 deaths in recent years. In April 2000, 22-year-old Russian diving instructor Yuri Lipski was on holiday in Dahab with his family, and the alert of the Blue Hole captured his interest. He inquired among other divers to see if anyone would join him for a dive, but due to his lack of experience and the absence of specialized equipment, everyone he asked declined, warning that it was too dangerous. Despite the warnings from locals and expert divers, Yuri chose to dive alone. Seemingly unaware of the dangers, Yuri entered the water just after 5 p.m. on April 28, 2000, with a video camera strapped to his head to document his journey. There were other divers in the water who notably had 2 air cylinders, while for unknown reasons, Yuri only had 1. This decision would ultimately prove to be fatal. The camera captures Yuri as he moves away from the group of divers, descending deeper into the hole. With his limited air supply, he may not have noticed that the deeper he went, the more his consciousness was affected. His lungs were only able to take in half the amount of air they required, and as the air grows denser, his bloodstream absorbs an increasing amount of nitrogen. The guidelines for recreational diving forbids divers from going deeper than 40 meters, but Yuri had gone beyond that limit, and although he had a depth monitor on his wrist, he didn't seem to be looking at it. Without warning, the recording shows Yuri sinking uncontrollably into the abyss. He appears to be conscious at this point, as he activated his buoyancy control device, but it was ineffective. He was simply too heavy. As he sank deeper, the pressure in his lungs increased, the nitrogen levels in his blood rose, causing him to lose his sense of spatial awareness. In a desperate attempt to save himself, he tried to inflate his buoyancy device further, but this caused it to burst, sending Yuri plunging even deeper. He eventually landed face down on the bottom, approximately 90 meters below the surface. At 5:11, just 7 minutes after entering the water, Yuri's camera stopped recording. After Yuri failed to return from his dive, a rescue mission was launched that quickly shifted to a recovery mission. The following day, rescue expert Tarek Omar discovered Yuri's lifeless body at the bottom of the blue hole and brought it to the surface. Omar found that Yuri had approximately 12 kilograms of lead attached to his belt, which combined with his other equipment made him too heavy for the dive he was attempting. A ruptured buoyancy aid was also recovered, along with a single air tank, meaning Yuri had started the dive with only 12 liters of compressed air. Remarkably, his camera was still functioning, despite not being designed for such depths. Yuri died because he was ill-prepared and inexperienced for the dive he was attempting. The harrowing footage that recorded his death is a stark reminder of the dangers of the ocean. This death was completely avoidable. Killer gives himself away on an interview. On June 29, 2011, family and friends reported Lauren Giddings, a recent graduate of Mercer University School of Law, missing. At the time, Lauren was living in an apartment complex directly across the street from the university, sharing the building with other law students and fellow graduates. Upon hearing the news of her disappearance, local news reporters flocked to her complex in Macon, Georgia, seeking to interview neighbors and friends of Lauren. Stephen McDaniel, a 27-year-old fellow student who lived in the same complex as Lauren, expressed his eagerness to assist in the search. And on June 30th, with a camera crew on site, reporters from the television station WGXA conducted an interview with him. Posing as a concerned neighbor, this is what he had to say about Lauren.
I was living there?
Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since.
Did you see her hang out with anyone at the time, anything like that?
I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I mean, I've always heard noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
And she just recently graduated from Mercer?
Yeah, she and I we were both JD students. We graduated back in May.
What kind of person was she? I mean, what did you see her?
I mean, she's as nice as can be. I mean, very personable, very much a people person.
Do you know anybody any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we don't know where she is. I mean, the only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her. Because we went over. One of her friends had a key. We went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss, but I mean, she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, so there was no sign that anyone broke in. I mean, the door was locked when everyone got here. I mean, we just don't know where she is.
However, McDaniel knew exactly where Lauren was, because a couple of days before, in the early hours of June 26, 2011, he had broken into her apartment, brutally murdered her, and dismembered her body, leaving her torso in a trash can. In a chilling twist, during the interview, the concerned neighbor's demeanor completely changed when the reporter told him a body had been found. Take a look at this.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's how we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Some thought McDaniel's reaction was down to shock that his friend was dead, but in reality, he and Laura were not friends. They didn't know each other and had very little contact. After the interview, McDaniels became a person of interest, and the police asked if they could search his apartment. All the other neighbours had agreed, but tellingly, McDaniels refused, saying, "It's the lawyer in me, I'm just always protective of my space." He eventually allowed one detective to walk through his unit, but only if McDaniel was there at the same time. Investigations revealed McDaniel had a hatred for women, and had been posting online about his desire to torture them. It may have been because he had little or no luck with women, and was a self-professed virgin, claiming that he was saving himself for marriage. Authorities eventually uncovered evidence of McDaniel's laptop that showed he had been gathering information about Giddings and her whereabouts leading up to her death. Additionally, there were a series of videos indicating that he had been stalking Giddings, looking into her apartment through a window. When Stephen McDaniel was brought back to the police station on the night of June 30th, 2011, his demeanour was eerily calm. He also, uncommunicatively, answered only a few questions, and most often responding with, "I do not know." Even when the detectives left the room, McDaniel remained perfectly still.
That's just you are. What's wrong? You know I'm Detective Patterson, right?
Yes.
Do you remember? Put your hands up here. You remember us talking earlier tonight? Right?
Yes.
You remember me earlier in the day?
Yes.
When we came down here and talked a little bit and then we left?
Yes.
Okay.
After hours of interrogation, he did not confess to murdering Lauren that night. However, he did reveal that he had entered a few of his classmates' apartments while they were out and taken their condoms. As a result, he was arrested on burglary charges, while the police gathered sufficient evidence to link him to Lauren Giddings' murder. In 2014, McDaniel pleaded guilty to murdering Lauren. He admitted breaking into her apartment using a stolen mask, strangling her to death, and dismembering her body with a hacksaw in the bathtub. Following his guilty plea, he was sentenced to life in prison for the gruesome crime. Stephen McDaniel has attempted to appeal his conviction on numerous occasions, but so far, he has failed with all of his appeals, and although he will still be eligible for parole in 2041, legal experts strongly believe that he will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Jack O'Sullivan. On the evening of Friday, March 1st, 2024, 23-year-old student Jack O'Sullivan met 3 friends for a night out in Bristol, United Kingdom. At 8:20 p.m, he caught a bus from his home in the village of Flaxbourton to a Wetherspoons in Bristol city centre. After a few drinks, the 4 friends, 2 boys and 2 girls, moved to a house party hosted by a girl on Jack's law conversion course. Jack, who is a University of Exeter graduate, had recently moved back to Bristol for the law course. At 10:45, Jack texted his mother to tell her that he had moved to a house party in Hotwells, saying, "All good, keys are safe." At the party, Jack stuck with his friends, but had a little too much to drink, and at one point fell down the stairs and hit his head. One of the other partygoers made fun of him, and Jack shoved the guy, although according to witnesses, nothing further happened. Jack texted his mother again at 1:52 a.m, telling her that he was getting an Uber and that he was safe. Shortly before 3 a.m. on March 2nd, Jack left the party alone. At 3:24 a.m, he attempted to call a female friend who was still at the party. When she called back 10 minutes later, Jack answered but only said hello before the call was cut off. That was the last time anyone heard from or seen Jack. After Jack failed to return home, he was reported missing. The last confirmed sighting police have of Jack on CCTV is at 3:13 a.m. The time is wrong on the camera, as he walks onto a grassy area at the junction of Brunel Lock Way and Brunel Way, Bristol, and his phone remained active on Find My Friends until 6:44 a.m. on Granbury Hill, which was close to these sightings. His family reviewed more footage and believe they can see him heading back towards Bristol city centre at 3:25 a.m. Take a look. Could that eerie footage be Jack? His family certainly believe it is. Police also have footage of a person who could be Jack walking along the Bennett Way Slip Road at 3:38 a.m, but after that he completely vanished without a trace. Jack is described as white, about 5'10", tall, of slim build with short brown hair. He was last seen wearing a quilted green and brown Barber jacket over a beige woolen jumper, navy chinos and brown leather trainers with white soles. His parents are tirelessly trying to raise awareness about their missing son, and we urge, if you have any information, no matter how small, please make contact on 101 and quote reference 5224-055-172 if you are in the UK, or email findjack23@gmail.com. It's been over a year, and Jack's parents are desperate to find their son. It's worth pointing out that the River Avon runs through Bristol. It's a tidal river that flows from east to west through the city. Police dive teams have searched the area extensively with no results. People rarely just disappear without a single trace in the middle of a busy city, so we urge you, if any of you have information, please contact the helpline. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.